What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be finishing off our map guide for Jakku, and we're going to be focusing on the defensive team. So in this case we will be playing as the Resistance. If you haven't seen the defending part of the Jakku map guide, then don't worry, there will be a link in the description as well as a link on screen at the end of the video, so make sure to go and check that one out too. So getting straight into it, you'll spawn up on top of the hill inside the wreckage of the destroyer, and you'll have two objectives that you need to defend from the enemy. This one over on the right is a pretty large area, and this makes it a little hard to defend at times because there's so many places for the enemy to hide. The one over on the left, however, is a little easier to defend. You get a massive high ground advantage if you can set yourself up properly, and if the other team aren't switched on, then you've got a good chance of winning the game right here in the first phase. Now, since this one over to the right is a little easier for the enemy to take, I generally try and come straight to this one and stop them from taking it straight away. If you can take control of this objective, then there's pretty much no chance they're going to pass this phase, so this objective is definitely the one you want to focus on the most. As I mentioned in the attacking guide, they do spawn really close to this side, and 90% of the time you'll find that they beat you to this objective, so unless you see that it's clear, then I'd definitely recommend that you don't go in guns blazing. You can see here that I'm taking my time and moving around to the right with my teammate, and this is exactly what you should be doing to make sure you're staying alive. This little mound of sand here is a really good spot to get yourself into, but make sure to keep an eye on your left side as you're pretty much completely open to attack from over there. Once you've taken out a few enemies and feel safe enough, you should be really aggressive and move up to take control of the area. Most people think that since you're on defense you should be sitting back and waiting for your enemy, but the smartest thing to do is to push up and take the fight to them. They aren't going to be expecting anyone rushing them, so you'll find yourself getting plenty of easy kills just as long as you are being smart about it. Now, as for the objective on the left side, this tends to be a whole lot easier to defend, but this one is more actually about playing defense rather than trying to be aggressive like I just mentioned. You'll see here in a minute that I got caught trying to push too far up, and I thought I'd leave this clip in here to show you guys what not to do. The front part of this area is way too open to be pushing up and playing an aggressive style. If you play like that, then you're going to get death after death, which is absolutely no help to anyone. So, as I mentioned in the attacking video, a first order ATST can be absolutely dominant on this objective, and while most people pretty much run and hide when there's one here, if there is one around, your only focus is to try and take it out. They can be pretty daunting to try and destroy, but you need to just put as much damage into it as you possibly can, otherwise it'll take the objective completely on its own. The other thing is that if your teammates see you shooting it, then there's a really good chance that they're going to join in and help you, and if you manage to get 3 or 4 teammates shooting it at once, then you'd be very surprised how quickly they can go down. Now, if you do happen to get pushed back, then you'll be onto the second phase of the map, and this would have to be one of the most hectic objectives in the whole game. This whole room is pretty much the objective area, and as you can imagine, when there's 40 players in here at once, it can get really crazy at times. For this phase, I'd either have to recommend playing as an officer with your improved battle command card equipped, or your assault class with the toughen up card equipped. The reason behind this is that you're going to need some sort of health regeneration. There's so much going on here and so many explosives being thrown that just about everyone is running around with low health, and if you can make sure that your health stays high, then you're going to win most of your gunfights. Your main focus is pretty much to stop anyone from coming into this main entrance. All it takes is 3 or 4 coming in and getting set up, and the objective is pretty much theirs. The best place to put yourself is up near these front walls. For some reason no one really expects anyone to be here, so often you'll catch your enemies by surprise, which is just going to give you even more of an advantage. If you are playing as an officer, I'd recommend using the SE44C due to its power at close range, as you can see here. And if you're playing as the assault class, then you can't go past the CR2. It's easily the best close quarters blaster in the game, and you can completely dominate most enemies with it. Now, if you can get enough battle points by this phase to play as a hero, then I'd have to recommend using Ray. She only costs 6,000 battle points on this map, and her inside ability can completely change the direction of the game if you use it correctly. As you can see on screen, when you use the inside ability, which is done by pressing L1 and R1 at the same time, every enemy within your general area will be revealed not only to you, but to the rest of your team as well. And I'm sure you can imagine how useful this can be. It's honestly a little overpowered on this map just due to the fact that it's already so hard for the enemy to break into this objective, but it's in the game for a reason, so we may as well use it. If you do get a chance to play as Ray, then your best bet is to get up into the front section of this room and pretty much try and take the other team out as they come through the entrances. Make sure to keep on the move, as it can be pretty easy to get overwhelmed due to the amount of enemies that are going to be coming in at once. I generally just do laps around the area just so that I don't take too much damage at once. Now, once you get pushed back from this objective, you'll move on to the third phase, and again, this will involve another 2 objectives similar to the last 2 phases. The one over here to the right is probably the most important, as it's a little harder to take for the enemies, while the one to the left is a little easier since not as many people seem to defend it. If your team is working well together, this one on the left can actually be just as hard to take as the one on the right is, but generally most people flock to the other objective since it's a little closer to the previous phase. As you can see from this footage here, when there are 5 or 10 teammates defending this objective, it's extremely hard to push into for the other team, which is exactly why I mentioned in the attacking video to try and take this one first if you are on the attacking team. The best strategy for this objective is really just to sit back on this hill or on the platforms where I am at the moment and just rain down hell on the other team. I recommend using a heavy for this objective, and make sure to equip your barrage ability so that you do have plenty of explosives to fire at the enemy. If you're not really a fan of using the barrage star card, it's also not a bad idea to use the ion turret. This can completely shut down the other team as they're going to get damaged as soon as they run out in the open, which leaves an easy target for you to finish them off. You don't want to try and be too aggressive as they can come from nearly any direction, so it's best not to try and push them back too much, otherwise your teammates will follow you, and if your team does do this, then they'll end up losing the advantage of having the high ground. Now, as for the other objective, I'd have to recommend playing as an officer for this one, just because it's so important to try and keep your teammates alive. And there's a little tactic I use with my auto turret to alert me when there's enemies coming from down below here. As you can see here, I kept failing to put down the turret. And this is because it's such a steep hill that it actually won't allow you to place it down. You have to sort of play around with it a little bit to get it in the right spot. But once you get it there, then this is a really good way to watch this area without even having to be nearby. Now, what this will do is allow you to protect the other entrance, and you'll be able to hear your turret start firing when an enemy comes from down at the other entrance, or they might even destroy it, which you can see when it goes red like this. And this will just let you know that someone is down there and that you should probably start making your way over there to try and stop them. The turret might even do the job for you as well, so you can often pick up a few kills when you leave it in this spot. Another good area to put yourself is over here to the right near the tunnel, as a lot of enemies can flank from over here, and this can really ruin your team's defense if no one is actually protecting this area. I find myself catching so many enemies by surprise over here, as they just really don't expect anyone to be defending this part of the map. So if you do manage to get pushed back again, then you'll be onto the last phase of the map, and this phase is pretty much self-explanatory, so I won't really touch on it too much. There'll be 2 transports that you need to defend, one here on the right side of the map, which again is probably the easier of the 2 to defend, and then there's another over here on the other side of the map, which is a lot more protected from any vantage points, so this one does seem to get taken out a lot quicker. The enemy team will need to plant an explosive on each transport and take them out to bring home the win, so it's your job to try and stop that from happening. So like I said, the one on the right side of the map is a little easier to defend, so you should make this your main focus. Seeing as this is the final phase, it's really a do or die situation, so your best bet is just to try and protect this objective at all costs. If you have enough battle points for a hero again, I'd still go with Ray just to help your team out with the inside ability again. Or if she's taken, I'd probably recommend either Yoda or Luke, just because Saber heroes do seem to do a lot better on this phase. If you don't have enough to unlock a hero, then I'd recommend using either an assault or officer class again, and this is for the same reason as the second phase, which is to try and keep yourself alive as long as possible. Now your best bet is really just to stay right up near the transport ship, just because if they are going to try and rush you, then even if they do manage to kill you, then there'll be at least 5 teammates ready to take them out straight away. You can afford to be a little bit more aggressive in this phase, but don't stray too far away, because if they do plant the bomb, then they're going to have time to try and set themselves up to defend it. Now these tips apply to both objectives, so it really is just personal preference which one you decide to defend, but as I mentioned, the one on the right is a little easier to defend, so if you are new to the game, then your best bet is probably to stick to the right side of the map. So that's going to be it for today's map guide, guys. These map guide videos have been getting so much positive feedback. Thank you so much for all the support. If you are enjoying these videos, make sure to smash that like button again, just to let me know that you are keen for me to keep making them. If you have any feedback or anything that you'd like me to incorporate into these videos, make sure to leave a comment down below. I read and reply to every single comment, guys, so be sure to hit me up. If you are new to the channel and you enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe, as I am going to be rolling out map guides for every single map, as well as plenty of other Battlefront 2 content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.